The AI race is over, and nobody saw it coming. November 2025 will go down in history as the Week 3 tech giants tried to obliterate each other with frontier AI models. Google fired first. OpenAI struck back. And then Anthropic walked in and ended the entire conversation. Within 6 days, we witnessed the most intense AI arms race in history. November 18th, Google drops Gemini 3 Pro. November 19th, OpenAI releases GPT-5.1-Codex-Max. November 24th, Anthropic launches Claude Opus 4.5. 3 flagship models. 1 week. Winner takes all. And the benchmarks don't lie. Claude Opus 4.5 just claimed the coding crown with an 80.9% score on SWE-bench verified. That's the benchmark that actually matters. Real-world software engineering tasks, not academic puzzles. OpenAI's GPT-5.1-Codex-Max scored 77.9%. Google's Gemini 3 Pro hit 76.2%. Anthropic's own Sonnet 4.5, released just weeks earlier, managed 77.2%. Claude Opus 4.5 is the first model to break the 80% barrier. Let that sink in. For the first time in AI history, we have a model that solves real GitHub issues better than any system ever built. And it's not even close. The gap between Opus 4.5 and second place is bigger than the gap between second and fifth. But here's where it gets wild. Anthropic didn't just win on performance. They dropped the price by 67%. The previous Opus 4.1 cost $15 per million input tokens and $75 for output. Opus 4.5? $5 in, $25 out. They made their flagship model 3 times cheaper while making it significantly smarter. OpenAI is charging $1.25 and $10. Google is at $2 and $12, so Anthropic is still more expensive per token. But when you factor in efficiency, Opus 4.5 uses 76% fewer tokens than Sonnet 4.5 to achieve the same results. At medium effort, it matches the previous flagship's best score while burning through a fraction of the compute. That means the total cost per task is actually competitive, maybe even cheaper depending on what you're building. The timing here is suspicious. Google launched Gemini 3 Pro on November 18th with massive fanfare. They claimed a 1,501 ELO score on LM Arena, topping the leaderboard. They said it was the best model in the world for multimodal reasoning. They integrated it into Google Search the same day. 24 hours later, OpenAI dropped GPT-5.1-Codex-Max. Not a coincidence. OpenAI has a history of strategically timing releases to counter Google. This felt like 2024 all over again, when every Gemini announcement was immediately overshadowed by an OpenAI drop. GPT-5.1-Codex-Max was built for the long game. It introduced something called Compaction, a technique that lets the model work across multiple context windows. Essentially, it prunes conversation history while preserving critical context, allowing it to run autonomously for over 24 hours without losing coherence. OpenAI tested it internally. The model worked on a single task for more than a day, iterating on code, fixing bugs, running tests, all without human intervention. That's not an assistant, that's an engineer. But OpenAI's 77.9% on SWE-bench still put them in second place. Google's 76.2% left them in third. And then Anthropic showed up 5 days later and demolished both of them. Claude Opus 4.5 didn't just win on raw benchmarks. It outperformed every human candidate who's ever applied to work at Anthropic. The company gave Opus 4.5 the same 2-hour take-home test they give engineering applicants. It scored higher than any person in the company's history. Robots are getting real, like dangerously real. Early testers said the model just gets it. They threw complex multi-system bugs at it, and it figured out the fix without hand-holding. Tasks that were near impossible for Sonnet 4.5 weeks ago became trivial for Opus 4.5. One developer, Simon Willison, used Opus 4.5 to refactor his entire SWE utils library over a weekend. 20 commits, 39 files changed, over 2,000 additions, 1,100 deletions, all driven by the AI. When his preview access expired, he switched back to Sonnet 4.5 and kept working at the same pace. Which tells you something important. These models are so good now that the differences only matter at the absolute edge cases. For normal development work, they're all incredibly capable. But Opus 4.5 has one feature nobody else offers: the effort parameter. Developers can now control how much computational work Claude applies to each task. Low effort for simple queries, high effort for complex problems. It's like having a dial that lets you balance speed, cost, and intelligence in real time. No other model gives you that level of control. And then there's computer use. Claude Opus 4.5 scored 66.3% on OS World, the benchmark for operating a computer. It can now zoom into specific screen regions to inspect fine-grained UI elements. It's the best model in the world for autonomous agents that need to interact with software interfaces. GitHub Copilot integrated it immediately. Cursor called it a notable improvement. Lovable said its reasoning depth transforms planning. Warp reported a 15% improvement on Terminal Bench. Fundamental Research Labs saw 20% better accuracy and 15% higher efficiency. The enterprise world is paying attention. Anthropic hit $2 billion in annualized revenue in Q1 2025. That's double what they made the quarter before. The number of customers spending over $100,000 annually jumped 8-fold year over year. This is not a research lab anymore. This is a company printing money. OpenAI isn't sitting still. They've been iterating fast. GPT-5, GPT-5.1, GPT-5.1-Codex-Max all dropped within months. But iteration speed doesn't always equal dominance. Sometimes you need a breakthrough, and Opus 4.5 feels like a breakthrough. Google has the ecosystem advantage. Gemini 3 is baked into Search, Workspace, Chrome. It's multimodal out of the box. Text, images, video, audio, all in one context window. It can analyze a 1 million token document without breaking a sweat. For enterprises already locked into Google's infrastructure, Gemini 3 is the obvious choice. But developers aren't enterprise IT departments. Developers care about one thing: does it work better? And on the benchmarks that matter, SWE-bench, Terminal Bench, autonomous coding tasks, Claude Opus 4.5 is the best. Not the best from Anthropic, the best, period. Here's the thing nobody's talking about. Opus 4.5 is also the safest frontier model ever released. Anthropic ran extensive evaluations for prompt injection attacks, malicious instructions smuggled into user inputs to trick the model into harmful behavior. Opus 4.5 resists prompt injection better than any model on the market. Better than Sonnet. Better than GPT-5.1. Better than Gemini 3. It's harder to trick, harder to manipulate, harder to exploit. For enterprises deploying AI at scale, that matters a lot. Because models don't just need to be smart, they need to be robust, they need to handle adversarial inputs, they need to avoid catastrophic failures when hackers try to break them. Opus 4.5 was designed with that in mind from day one. The meta story here is how fast this is moving. 7 months ago, Gemini 2.5 was the flagship. Now Gemini 3.GPT-5 launched in August, GPT-5.1 in November, Claude 4.5 in September, Opus 4.5 in late November. We've gone from annual release cycles to weekly competition, and the pace is accelerating. OpenAI will almost certainly counter with GPT 5.2 or GPT 6 in early 2026. Google won't let Gemini 3 be their last word. Anthropic has already hinted at more Claude iterations. This is the new normal. Frontier AI models duking it out every few weeks. Benchmarks leapfrogging each other. Pricing wars. Feature wars. Integration wars. But right now, in this moment, Claude Opus 4.5 sits at the top. It's not just the benchmarks, it's the whole package. Performance, pricing, safety, efficiency, developer control. Anthropic took everything they learned from Opus 4.1, Sonnet 4.5, and the entire Claude 4 family, and synthesized it into one model that does it all better. For developers choosing a model today, the decision tree looks something like this. If you need multimodal capabilities and you're already in the Google ecosystem, go Gemini 3. If you want the fastest iteration speed and the broadest integrations, go GPT-5.1. If you need the absolute best coding performance and you're willing to pay a bit more, go Opus 4.5. But if you're optimizing for pure technical capability, if you want the model that will solve the hardest problems with the fewest dead ends, there's only one choice. Claude Opus 4.5. The AI war isn't over forever. OpenAI and Google aren't going anywhere. But the November 2025 battle? That one's done. Anthropic won.